And I believe this is artwork, what we're doing.
Oh,
when this is put...
Art 101 with Mr. Burgher.
Scholars, welcome back to Art 101 with me, Mr. Burgher. I'm a professional artist and a master educator who's attempting to provide you with the best in art historical content. If you like this video, if you check out all the videos in the series and you watch these things and you love it, please follow along. Check out lots of the other content and artists that are just packed in here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Pretty clear. This is like 101 stuff.
Today, we're going to be talking about an artist by the name of William Blake.
What, William Blake?
William Blake.
What, William Blake?
William Blake.
What do you mean, William Blake?
I mean William Blake.
Yeah, William Blake. And we're going to be checking out his work. And he's a romantic artist. And romantic doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. We're going to dive deep down in and see these works and get a better understanding of this pretty powerful and profound artist.
One of the unique artists that we cover is the great romantic poet and artist, William Blake. In order to better understand the work of Blake, we have to understand the time at which he lived. So, we ask ourselves, what is Romanticism? Well, Romanticism was really a response to the Industrial Revolution. It was characterized by an emphasis in imaginative and emotional works, as well as a glorification of nature and its irrational forces. Now, romantic art would take forms in literature, music, architecture, as well as the visual arts.
Oh, nothing but the best!
He was born the third of 5 children to Catherine Wright and James Blake, who were clothing suppliers in England. When he was in his youth, he began speaking of visions with angels, and his parents were a little bit concerned. And strangely, he would never grow out of these so-called visions. In 1767, he would start his academic career in a drawing school where he would focus on figure drawing. He was also a very accomplished young writer, producing his first book of poetry at the age of 12. At around about this time, as a young man, he began collecting art prints. They were from various Renaissance-era artists including Raphael Sanzio, Albrecht Dürer, and Michelangelo Buonarroti. If anyone viewing his art collection claimed that a new style was better than these Renaissance masters' prints, Blake would accuse them of speaking out for the destruction of art.
It's cute. It's cute. It's adorable, actually.
In his eyes, none were better than these masters of the past. He had a great deal of respect for the Renaissance masters, as well as art that came from the Gothic era. Eventually, he would apprentice under the engraver James Bezier. Under his tutelage, he became knowledgeable on the art of copperplate engraving. He moved on to work as a copy engraver in order to illustrate printed books. With a desire to move on to new art media, Blake took classes at the Royal Academy of Arts and Design in 1779. At the school, Peter Paul Rubens was more highly regarded than the more stiff Renaissance artists. These things that you call finished are not even begun, Blake later recalled. It was at the school that Blake discovered a lifelong hatred for Sir Joshua Reynolds and his new academic traditions.
I would appreciate it if you would be kind enough to observe them.
Throughout the time of his artistic study and production, he was always and continuously writing. We see his distinct political and artistic ideas in a new way in his writings. His companion throughout these years was Catherine Boucher, whom he married in 1782. A couple of years later, Blake was set up at a paint and print shop in London. There he was creating illustrated books that fused mythology, religion, history, and current issues. He was also creating illustrations for other writers. But after some time, Blake began to resent the fact that he was compromising on his work for that of other people. At this time, his mental stability was becoming a little less stable, and on one occasion, he found a drunk soldier that was on his property. Blake asked him to leave, but the soldier refused. So Blake did what he thought was right. He fought him off the property. Blake was then charged with assault as well as acting out against the King of England. The penalty was severe. Being a known person, he was acquitted of the charges, but his mental health certainly suffered. He was unsuccessful at exhibiting and work was hard to find for him. Blake was so unlike most of the other artists of his time. He worked in a small scale, only a few inches tall and a few inches wide, but an enormous amount of details in each one of these works. As is stereotypical, he received much of his success after his death. Although without a lot of success, he was friends with a lot of the upper crust of the English in crowd.
Side note, American rock band The Doors got its name when Jim Morrison, the frontman of the group, read a poem, The Doors of Perception, by, that's right, William Blake.
Well, the quote's from William Blake, actually. When the doors of perception are cleansed, things will appear as they truly are. Infinite. I like it.
William Blake was a bit of an odd outsider. He was firm on his beliefs for equality for all, including women's and blacks, which was kind of an anomaly for such a high-status person of that time. So why would he express such strong opinions that were a little bit unpopular for his peer group? When I tell the truth, it is not for the sake of convincing those who do not know it, but for the sake of defending those that do. He was also vocal on his disdain for the effects of the Industrial Revolution on England. A true romantic, Blake dismissed the scientific and industrial achievements of his time.
Snap out of it!
The end was a bit turbulent for Blake. In 1818, he met friend, patron, and landscape painter John Lennell. He had plugged Blake back into a network of patrons that he desperately needed. The pair had an understanding that Blake did not have with others that saw him, quite frankly, as a crazy person. Although Lennell thought he was very stable, most of Blake's friends thought he was insane. Lennell was in part responsible for Blake's finishing of two of his last great illustrated texts, the Book of Job from the Bible and Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. Blake created 21 watercolor illustrations based on the Book of Job between 1823 and 1825. He also created 102 watercolor illustrations for his Divine Comedy project. Though he was ill, he continued to work until the end of his life. He died at home and was placed in an unmarked grave in London. Poet William Wordsworth spoke at his funeral. There is no doubt that this poor man was mad, but there is something in the madness of this man which interests me more than the sanity of Lord Byron and Walter Scott.
I love that art, and I love that you joined me on this journey through William Blake. And if you think of it, check out my other content. Take a look at my other videos on all kinds of subjects. And if you don't see exactly what you're looking for, leave me a message down below. Leave a comment. I'll be happy to entertain different ideas on different artworks and styles and different things that I might be able to put together for you. Anyway, thanks for letting me tell you the story, and we'll see you on the next one. You have yourself a great day.
That is thorough, and I hope it's true, because it should be.